to this episode of Bullets, Barbells, and Barbecue. I'm your host, Brett. I got Chris, the artist formerly known as Heavy C. I got One Arm Matt, cracking cans and pounding whiskey. Tanner left.
Good.
If you listen to the first podcast, you know
God
why.
almighty.
He's crying in the car right now. Not his truck.
Yeah, what he's doing, he's writing his little notebook to come back and like next time I see him, he's like, hey, so when we were talking about that's what he's gonna do.
You said 62%. It's actually 63. I got it right here. I knew you were wrong.
We had a good discussion on the last one. It spiraled like we always know they do. But if you didn't listen to that one, check it out.
Because of Tanner.
Well,
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, we all instigated a little bit.
I particularly wanted to stay on that one because I liked how mad he fired up.
Tanner was very passionate. He was
getting
passionate.
fired up, yeah.
Yeah, he's passionate.
But
I
you know,
wouldn't
it's
say he was
also
mad.
what I think makes Tanner good at what he does.
Right. But it's great to have those kind of conversations. Like I really enjoy this group and talking about stuff like that because for the most part, I think all of us are open to changing our minds. Like if someone was to bring new information and you're like, oh,
I don't know
hadn't
about
thought
that.
before.
We brought out some good points, and Tanner was pretty solid.
He
on
was pretty
his.
solid there. I think we should keep talking about it.
I don't
and
know
like
if he
get
was
in
very
there. But I've
open
had other
to-
conversations where he's changed, and so
Yeah.
like that's most of the time when you have conversations like that with other people. They're like, nope, this is it, and they just refuse to change.
But you know, at least you know what? You also have to give people credit for standing their ground.
Yeah, if that's what you firmly believe, like
You know, stand for something or fall for anything.
He's definitely standing for it.
Anyway, we have our show partners, Elite Nutrition. Check them out at EliteNutritionOmaha.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off. Or you can go to the store in Omaha or Lincoln and yell B3
Get a free shaker and a handy.
in the
Right in the
Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
Oh, the Cybertruck's the handy. Sorry.
Yeah.
You just get a free shaker.
Rosewood Block. They make the neatest cutting boards in barbecue, fully customizable.
They
Check them
are
out at
neat.
rosewoodblock.com. Use code B3 at checkout for 10% off there as well. You know, we always think when we're younger that our elders are lame and we can't learn anything from them. But I feel like, especially in the lifting community, this younger generation has no desire to listen to anything that someone who has gone through some shit.
But that just expands beyond just like the lifting. It's just this generation of like, oh, I know this, or I feel like I have to know this.
Or-
I hate that phrase. I know.
Or
no,
the
no, you don't.
no.
I just saw you do it. You don't know.
So I started using that when I was like the last probably 5-8 years that I was coaching. I would say like, hey, Bob, I'm like, hey, I know. I'm like, oh, really? Then why did you do this? Well, so what you're saying is you didn't know. Like, that's fine if you didn't know. Like, let's just get on the same page. Like, you didn't know, and that's totally cool. Like, that's where I'm here to help you so you do know, and we can do this right. But let's just have that honest dialogue. Like, oh, you didn't know, and that's fine. That's totally fine.
Yeah, it's kind of, you watch kids do different things, like especially I'll see it in the gym, and you try to ask them why, and then they give you a reason, and I was like, that doesn't really make any sense. But what I have to say has no meaning because I'm not on Instagram right now with like a current total.
Yeah, and I mean, unless you either need some amount of viewership. Right. So whatever your subscribers are or something like that gets you credibility, whether or not you're right, like that gets you credibility, or you have some records or have accomplished something, right?
Well,
that gets you credibility.
Yeah, that was kind of the thing I was saying. I was like, I wish I had like a massive following so I could just do an experiment and just post like a bunch of really dumb shit and then be like, oh yeah, man, fucking share your videos you do it and just see how many people would do it. Like,
And then 2 weeks later, you get on there, you're like, hey, just so everybody knows. All
just
this
like, you know,
stuff
the
I
best
posted
thing,
is bullshit.
yeah, just like, you know, the best thing I ever did to build my squat was I would do 10 backflips after I squatted.
Were you watching that guy out here the other day? He was doing cleans. He was doing cleans, and then he'd hop over to the CrossFit rack, and he had the orange bands, and he would like hold on to them and then squat down low and then jump super high.
Yeah, I know that guy. That's actually a pretty good explosive workout.
Yeah. So he was doing those and then that afterwards.
Yeah, I was super set them together for like the explosiveness of it. But I mean, I've had some kids I've tried to like give them some pointers. There was a kid one time who was having problem getting depth in a squat, and he wore lifters, and I said, well, I think your ankle mobility is really bad. You should work on that. And he's like, well, I'll probably just get a higher heel shoe on my lifter then. And I was like, okay. Or, hey, you're like that. You missed that lift because you're weak in this area.
That's
Well,
what
no,
I'm
I
saying.
don't.
I think my brakes are going bad in my car. I'll just stop trying to stop.
To be fair, that's
Oh,
like
this
the
is the
premise.
e-brake.
yeah,
That's the premise of my lifting career. Is like, oh, that hurts. I'm just gonna do this instead.
But you know, yeah, you're trying to like, you try to, I'm like, no, I don't. The guy on Instagram that coaches me told me it's this. And I was like, oh,
Okay.
He coaches you personally, or coaches you as in you watch his videos and try to emulate what he does,
yeah. And
knowing that he has.
what's going to be the end all? You know what I mean? Like when I've always said when the lifting starts to get hard, how many people will stay in the sport?
Right. Like I really want to see along that line. Like I want to see like some successful people follow and like cite Mike Israetel and RP because a lot of his shit is totally research based. He'll cite the research. He has people on there who cite research and who actually do the experiments and brings that stuff on. Now he's not coaching CBUM. He's not coaching any of these other Olympians or like top bodybuilders. I think Jared Feather is an IFBB pro and has won or either placed high at the New York Pro. I
I
think.
think Jared Feather has his own coach now. I don't think he. I mean, he has.
Oh,
he actually.
okay.
I just saw something on that saying that he just now finally got a coach because I think he was like all self-coached.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also really like Mike Israetel. I watch all of his stuff.
Yeah, but that's where I like. I want to see someone follow that, and if someone follows that, and then they achieve the top level, then it's like okay, you've got all this stuff. Because everything he's doing now, like for my fat ass, like I could follow him, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great, this works well. But I'm also not trying to step on an Olympia stage. I'm not trying to step on the New York Pro or set records. So it works for me. It's going to work for the vast majority of people. But if that stuff were to pan out, and you get that extra check mark of, oh yeah, I coached, I don't know, pick your top bodybuilder, and help them accomplish it. Oh, okay.
I also think all of his stuff works. I've trained for a long time, and I was, you know,
Really?
think you know. Yeah, shut up.
In your basement?
Yeah, of course.
Couldn't
By
tell.
myself, all lonesome. Anyway, some of the things that some of his ideas and some of his techniques, you know, you think you got it all figured out, then you try to change up a couple things, and this stuff does work. But it's more bodybuilding focused, obviously, than powerlifting.
And it it is a hard part because everybody looks at like you have to have some kind of street cred, but you can listen to a lot of people. Like, I mean, I don't like Louis did a ton of research with top tier lifters, and plenty of people were like,
Right.
West Side's trash. Like, I'm not gonna follow what he did. Blah blah blah. But even Louis will tell you some of the stuff he learned from other people, like nobody's. He would learn and listen from, but it's like
But he had that base knowledge to like sniff out the bullshit right away. So like people were talking, he's like, that doesn't align with these other three things that really worked.
that's how he talked to me.
So yeah, he was like, ooh, about that, Brett.
Just like, but yeah, I think, especially in the sport of lifting, like Louis always kind of even said, and I think Ed said it too. It's like learn from past people's mistakes.
Yeah. Dave Tate talks about that. Like he was part of that group at Westside that just beat the shit out of themselves and broke themselves so that the next generation of Westside could go on to do fucking phenomenal things.
Yeah, just because someone has a following on social media, or they've had like maybe let's say they even have a phenomenal meet, like a world record total at a meet. They might just be that naturally gifted person that like worked hard, but they just like.
Or they
comes to
just
them.
fucking ran it till the wheels fall off and there's nothing left because they're too beat up. And they can't.
But yeah, it's just it's so weird. Like I had a conversation with somebody about their bench. They were struggling with lockout, and I was like, "Well, your triceps are probably weak." Well, I was talking to another guy, and he told me he thinks it's my starting position.
Okay, cool. So change your starting position and see if that works. If it doesn't,
Well, but if you look at anything like
Try your triceps.
biomechanically, your starting position has nothing to do with your finishing position.
How would
you
that
shut
have
the fuck up,
anything-
Brett.
And
How
I
many
mean,
followers do you have?
not enough, obviously.
See,
Are you heaving it? Is that why it's just? I mean, there's a lot of factors, I guess. Like, if
Yeah, and most
did you show him? Did you ask him? Did you send that guy a video of your lift? Like what?
just show them Ron.
well, I mean,
Do it like
Just-
this.
just basic physiology that and strength wise, if you get halfway up on a pressing movement and you can't finish it, it's probably your triceps.
Why would that have anything to do with her?
There's a 99.9% chance. Now, if you come down and dump it, like maybe you started in the wrong place. But like when you've touched your chest and they give you a press command and you go halfway up and you can't lock it out, your triceps are weak.
Right.
I could see maybe hand placement a little bit.
But that's also because it's bringing more tricep in.
Yeah.
It's your
So,
starting position from the bottom.
It depends on what
Yeah.
on what he means by starting position too.
Well, no, he was talking
Right.
about when he gets it unracked to him.
When he gets it unracked to
When he
him.
gets it when he lifts it out to him just before the lift is started.
Who's this coach? Do we know him?
It's not his coach, just another kid that's lifter who's strong also.
Do we know that person?
Yep. We know all of them. And I like all of them. But I was just like, that has nothing to do with any of it. I was like, you should just every day do an extra set
Have
of
you
tricep.
considered doing seminars again?
I don't think.
No, you're right. Don't listen to me. I just sit here 12 hours a day and watch people lift all day. I have no idea what I'm talking about.
I just watch everyone lift
Yeah,
all day
you have
long.
no
and I never
idea
pick
what
up
I'm talking
anything.
about. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. Yeah.
I've thought about the seminar thing before, but I don't think the generation of lifters now, majority of them, will go.
I wonder who you'd have to bring in to.
You would have to bring in,
Like-
whoever. What's that chick's name? That's
Lean beef patty.
Who the fuck? What's that?
I don't know. This-
Oh, I was like, what? You'd have to bring in, I think, possibly like a Jen Thompson, or
I
wouldn't
think
think
she's
that-
probably a
I
little.
wouldn't think the folks would watch.
as far as you were like a bench thing
Yeah, I mean, I don't think.
for possibly, but that's if you're trying to get some females in.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah. But
Now, if you're trying to get the guys in, you're gonna have to like a Taylor Atwood, or you're gonna have to do somebody, you know what I mean? That's got a huge like current
Yeah.
total. Possibly like a Ray Williams, but even he's at the end of his.
Dude, but he's a freak.
He
He's
is.
fucking giant. All right, hold on. I'll tell you what you need to do. First, you need to get to 400 pounds. And then
Because you've been here.
shorten your arms. 400 pounds.
Well, you-
only
I
got
mean,
this much range of motion.
You've been here like the weigh-ins before me, and Ed will sit at the front desk.
Yeah.
And how many people do you see ask Ed questions?
yeah.
Very few. That's why I think a
Part
seminar.
of that, I don't. So like, if it's me, I wouldn't feel like I had like earned the right to go up and ask Ed anything. Like now knowing Ed, I'm like, fuck yeah, Ed would love that shit. But like, if I'm just weighing in and I see that, I'm like, oh shit, that's it.
Okay, but not even asking of it. Nobody even walks up to be like, "Hey, man," you're like,
Can I touch your hand?
"Yeah, you're Ed. Can I get a picture with you?" Very few compared to the number. You know what I mean? Like, how many people at this point that train in the city of Omaha that train powerlifting know that we do that meet every year and that Ed is here for weigh-ins?
How many people that do powerlifting know who Ed Cohen is?
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
But
talking
I think
about.
that happens generationally. Like you lose.
Well, he's also
sight.
not like a huge Instagram guy, you know.
But that's what I'm saying as far as like
social
learning
media.
learning from. And that's the thing, if you're going to get into the sport, when it's an archaic sport, it's an old sport. Wouldn't you get in it to look to see what? Because
maybe.
the equipment has, like, just straight up training. Let's get like talking to. We're not talking about knee sleeves, whatever.
Yeah.
The equipment is the same. A barbell is a barbell. A weight is a weight.
Did you follow like Kazmaier much, or any of the guys that came before Kaz when you were lifting?
I didn't really have access to any of that.
But I mean, so you were like competitively lifting 2004 to 2008 ish. I saw a first place trophy over there from 2008. Just saying.
Yeah, I do have that over there. I was following Westside.
Not from lift.
Right. So you're following Westside, but I'm saying like just looking at your own experience, and for myself, like I didn't look much past Ed.
But we didn't have a ton of the information wasn't out there to even learn about. You know what I mean? Necessarily other people then.
True, and I don't know if there's
Like my first Flex magazine, I actually found another one of them years back and I rebought it. Was like from '97 with Dorian Yates on the cover.
show him the Yates, Dorian.
Yeah. So
Fucking
I mean, I
best
followed a
statement
lot
ever.
of like. So that's why
Yeah,
Dorian
but I
Yates
think
is.
there's like if people are driving a lot of their stuff off of social media, like they're not going to get funneled stuff from a ton of stuff from Ed. I mean, Dave Tate probably has some of the most content out there
Mm-hmm.
because he's actively doing stuff. But again, people look back, and if you're just looking at Dave Tate as the lifter, meh.
He wasn't like the best lifter at
Right.
Westside. He was a good lifter, but not the best.
But he's a pretty fucking good coach. And if you're again like if even if you make the starting team for an NFL, you're a top 1%er in football players.
Well,
so if you train at Westside for any number of years, like you're a top 1%er.
Well, and a lot of times the best athletes aren't the best coaches because of the
Oh,
natural ability. They
100%.
didn't work as hard
Yeah.
sometimes as the people who had to like work to be that good.
Yeah.
I
So-
think the person recently that, well, not super recent anymore, that helped powerlifting the most is probably Mark Bell.
But even
He
he's
had
kind
a
of, if you
big-
really look at, he's kind of fallen off too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well, years
lot.
ago,
But
I
yeah,
think
but-
it was like 08, 09.
Old Smelly Bell came
Super
out.
Training was like a big,
And he was still
watching
fat and happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I
I was
think
just
that
jacked and grumpy.
Blew powerlifting up at that time.
100%. That
Yeah.
turned a lot of people on. And I think it turned a lot of people on to like, oh shit, I don't need all the gear. Like he was a geared lifter, but he really started to promote a lot of this other stuff. And he hopped in with CrossFit. He did a lot of stuff with,
Made
Kelly
the
Starrett.
shoes, yeah.
what's the sexy panther?
Kelly Starr, the supple leopard.
Yeah,
Supple leopard. Yeah.
that guy. And
Sexy panther.
And now what's his new thing? It's
he's the knees over toes guy a lot.
no, what's
the
his
stuff
new
I've
thing
seen.
called though? Fuck, but he's still
Who?
out. Kelly Starrett's still out there doing mobility stuff, which is pretty good.
Not mobility wad. Mobility wad was like V1.
His old one. That was his old one.
Ready State.
Ready State, yeah. So he's actually still Kelly Starrett still has a lot of
And
good mobility stuff
I've
out
heard
there.
a lot of PTs like shit on him, but
I shit on that Squat University guy. Fuck that guy.
Kelly, like I have Kelly Starrett's book.
Jesus.
Like I have ready
Becoming
to
a
run.
supple leopard.
Yes, becoming a sexy panther, and then like
60% of the time it works
all the time. Desk bound, and I have his ready to run. But like the becoming a sexy panther one is great because you can like look through and kind of like
That's a way better name.
find the stuff that's like, oh, this hurts, and you can look in this book and it kind of walks through like, hey, try this.
Because he smashed everything then.
Yeah, so that's the only part. Like that book is really about like, hey, roll it and just smash the fuck out of it.
Well, buy my ball
Yes,
to smash it.
to smash it. And so some of his other stuff is good, but like I remember, so like the couch stretch, I think is what he calls it, where it's like you get in kind of like a lunge position, put your ankle up on a couch, and then like scoot your knee back towards your ankle, was like one of his very first things that he threw out there. And that happened to come out probably 8 months after I tore my quads.
I was going to say, is that when you blew your quad out?
Yeah. And so that's what I was like, my legs really hurt a lot still and I can't move them. And I found that and I started doing that pretty much every day. And I was like, oh shit, this is legit. Like, this is good. And a lot of his stuff was good because it wasn't, I think Starrett, again, kind of focusing on the mobility piece, like Starrett was one of the first people who was like, hey, don't do yoga, because yoga is just like, hey, in this super passive, relaxed position, can I touch my toes?
And don't get me wrong, yoga's hard.
Yoga is hard, but he said, okay, cool, let's be flexible or let's be stretchy, but let's call it mobility and say, can I reach that motion under load? Right? So if I have a bar on my back and I'm trying to squat, can I put my butt cheeks on my ankles? No. All right, cool. Let's find out where that impingement, where's that restriction? Here's a series of things to go through to try to identify what that is and figure that out. And pushing that, I think, is like a lot of the lifters today now have access to that. So as they go through and they're like, oh, I can't do this. Oh, cool. I should not just put more weight on the bar and smash myself. What I should do is get a little more mobile and be able to get to that archetype or get to that position under load.
Yeah, I think sometimes I think it comes down to, instead of using Instagram, like use the internet.
I think Instagram and the old interwebs and social media are great introductions to people that you otherwise wouldn't know about. But when you find those people, like I find myself, like Modern Wisdom is a podcast I've been digging a lot lately. He has on a lot of people that I'm like, I don't know who that person is. But if I listen to their cast and I'm like, ooh, I like that dude, I'll go do more research and I'll find other things that person does. And some of them I'm like, nope, not for me, and go somewhere else. But like if you find someone on there, awesome. Do a little research, dig in, find some other stuff that they've done, find other things that they've posted before you go, oh, they said to do this. Yep, I'm going to do that. And that's going to fix all my problems.
Maybe it's time we just pull the trigger and have Dave Tate on here.
I'll go out there.
I would go out there.
You won't, but we will.
I probably wouldn't.
Maybe we can get like a cardboard cutout.
That'd be cool.
Get a fat head.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Tanner might go.
It'd be a
with it,
real
too.
life size
Yeah.
head for him.
You just can't drive. Tanner crying in the back seat.
Yeah.
You went too fast. I can't believe you did that. Whoa, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I couldn't believe how much he freaked out on that.
dude, we weren't even close.
We were pretty safe.
Yes.
Pretty safe.
We were 100% safe.
Yeah.
If anybody was gonna be fucked, it's gonna be the person behind us on that elephant bar went through their fucking window when I cut lanes. I mean, that's who was gonna be worried if we had to cut it close.
Maybe we should have wrecked. I wouldn't have torn my bicep.
But no, I think that sometimes getting on the inner, like we said, if I had more access to learn more about Kazmaier, you might have, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I remember watching him on the old.
Well, I remember that too,
World's
but
Strongest
you know,
Man.
when we were younger watching him, we're like, I wonder what that guy's training split is.
No,
You know what I mean? Because he was just so monstrous.
He was like, I think Derek Poundstone was one of the first guys I was able to find like a lot of good training material from. And that
Isn't
would have
he
been
Canadian?
2010.
Canadian.
No, he was US.
He was US.
Was he?
Yeah, he was
Who
a
am I
cop.
thinking of that was Canadian? I thought that's who I am. I thought he was Canadian for some reason.
You're wrong.
I guess I was.
But yeah, I mean, outside of, you know, like the Flex magazines and shit, we didn't have like the internet, but it's like,
Fuck no. You had
I
muscle
don't- I
development,
just think
Flex
that-
magazine.
I just think that if you were going to be like, I'm weak in this spot of the lift and I looked that up, it's going to give you a fucking some tips.
Right. Like right now in today's modern, like you should,
Maybe skip the Instagram and just look up.
there's so much out there that unless you are already a top 1%er and then you hire a top 1% coach and you just kind of do what they say, like everything that you read, like it should make sense to you. You shouldn't just like, oh, well, Timmy said to do this, and so that's what I'm doing. Are you guys texting each other?
No.
I don't believe you. That was too fast.
I was looking up if I was wrong or right. You were right about Derek Poundstone. He's American.
I know.
There must have been somebody else I was thinking of.
There's a lot of Canadians.
So I just typed in, just to put it out there, I just put, my bench lockout is hard.
What GBT tell you?
There are a few reasons why bench lockout might be difficult, including, I don't even know what that word is. Not tucking the chest, wearing a shirt
Triceps?
that's too tight, not training in full range of motion. That's not.
Wearing a shirt that's too tight.
But you go to the very next
Weird
one.
lifting.
That is true.
Like you go to the very
I
next.
once benched in an extra small.
You go to the next one and it's like somebody asked the same same question on Reddit. What should I do? And they were like, work your triceps.
It's on the internet, folks.
So I'm just saying, like, maybe not get everything from like Instagram. Maybe
Yeah.
just fucking, or like, you know what? Learn about your body and what makes it work and how motions work.
Right. And if any people out there listening who go to barbell, if you have questions, like ask Brett. If you're listening to this and you don't go to barbell, call and talk to Brett. Like he will fucking nerd out on this shit all day. Like we used to do this for hours on end. Just like talking with each other on shit we already knew about just because we were super passionate about it.
Then he'll just Venmo you. He can send you his Venmo and you can send it.
Yeah, he'll give you his OnlyFans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
But like
Yeah.
there's a ton of research, especially locally. This place is super special because there's a lot of knowledge here.
Yeah. Just, you know, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't listen to some of these younger kids because these kids are way stronger in a faster rate than we were.
Crazy strong, right?
Yeah. But my bench is still better than all theirs.
Right, but it's like, hey, how long have you been competing? Not even how long have you been? How long have you been training and getting better? Like if you've been training for 20 years, and year after year after year you're getting better, way cooler than someone who's been training for 2 years and competing for 4 years and setting world records. Like that person's probably a freak.
Well, it's the who burns the bright. What is it? Who burns the brightest? Or who shines the fastest? Burns out the.
Yeah.
Who shines the brightest?
All right,
Burns out
lock
the
it up.
fastest.
Lock it up.
Jesus. But yeah, I just think that, especially in like sports and strength sports, like, you know, if I played basketball and I had the chance to like ask Michael Jordan, which he was obviously a phenomenal athlete, but he did work very hard for it. Hey, what could I do to make this better?
Did you just compare yourself to Michael Jordan?
No, but I'm saying if you have the opportunity to ask someone, you know what I mean, that did it before you, I would ask them.
Yeah, like at least talk to them, like figure out. Like some people, there's, I'm gonna 100% throw Grolfs and Rob Keelypost under the bus on like the very first seminar we had here. They were both in like teaching the squat part, and both of them, like I remember Grolfs in particular, was like, all right, yeah. So you get set up, you do this, you get your foot, and you do this, and then you squat. We're like, what?
No shit.
And he's
Man,
like,
that's
yeah.
Very enlightening.
And someone's like, so like when you're like if I'm getting stuck in the hole or I'm feeling kind of like, should I like, is that a back thing? Is that a hip thing? He's like, yeah, you just want to get real tight and then squat. And it was like, right on, bud. So yeah, I mean, like, take it with a grain of salt. Like if that's their advice, like, all right, cool. Like some people just know how to do it and they do it. And some people know how to do it and they can coach you. And some people like know how to coach you, but they can't quite do it themselves.
Yeah, not all players are coaches. And some of the best coaches weren't the best players.
Truth.
But I guess my whole main gist of this thing is like just learn from the people that came before you.
Yeah.
You know.
It's a lot.
You can learn from the current and the old school.
Yeah. You
What
can
I
train
took
a lot
away from
longer.
this is Britt's the Michael Jordan of Omaha powerlifting.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm Yep, that should be a new shirt.
That's
think
his
so
nickname,
because-
MJ.
Yep, there it is.
But I wasn't that great at the lifting part.
Oh, doesn't matter.
I was moderately okay. Like I told Zach Henson, I was a never was been.
Really, really good average lifter.
Yep.
Well, like you just said, sometimes those who can't do it, coach. And it's
Yeah. But anyway, that's all I got with that.
yeah. You seem like you've been holding on to that one for a little bit. Like it really bothered you, either to yesterday. Or
It's
today.
what it is for me is like it's. I don't want to say like it makes me sad, but like you see people who I'm like, oh shit, like you could be really good, but like you don't want to listen, you don't want to learn, and it's frustrating because it's like.
And I
fuck.
get like the whole like, it'll be like, well, run the program for 12 weeks, and if it doesn't work, or you can just tell them, I've done a program like that and it did not work.
Right, I did that before, and for me it didn't work. Here's what happened.
Like when Matt was deadlifting the elephant bar and he went the first time, and I thought I should have told him not to do that, but then he went again, and then he tore his bicep.
To be fair, like we did the weight before when it was close to the
Yeah,
collar.
no, I was surprised you did that, and then when he
fucking
went
crushed
again,
you
I was
bitches.
like,
Mine
man,
was so much faster. It was like fucking Flash Gordon.
it's a loose,
And then
like
I tore
Flash
my
Gordon
shit.
on cocaine and Ted. But
What
The
was
crazy
that
part was
line
like
in
it
that?
didn't even hurt.
I just did a cocaine with a guy in the bathroom. I bet you can't pick him out. And you see the guy he's like punches him in the mouth and jumps out the window. No, I didn't spot him at all.
Yeah, but it's like, listen, like I've done my own fair share of training, trained with a lot of people, seen a lot of people, and so like talk to those people who have seen stuff, been around, and done like, oh yeah, no, try this, right? I get, yeah, like you said, running 12 weeks is probably the optimal way. Like that would be 100% best case is that you run it, you learn for yourself, and you change. But if someone could be like, hey, instead of doing that for 12 weeks, maybe make this one little tweak and then run that for 12 weeks. And that'll get you to a better result. And you can take that and build from it.
yeah, the whole like, train smarter, not harder.
Yeah. I just train dumb, go fast.
The more
Yeah.
you know and get injured.
Boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
So yeah, just again, learn from your elders and try to be a little less shitty every training cycle.
I've had a number of people comment on my a little less shitty everyday shirt.
I also have had people.
Everyone
comment on that
likes
shirt.
it.
Yeah.
Particularly, and I think I've said this before,
Old people.
the shirts that have profanity, old ladies fucking love them. Like the fuck haters one, don't fucking quit.
I've been enjoying my new one, the shoot, train, smoke meats.
Is that one out there now?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, I'm gonna get one.
It's just like 3 of the best things to do.
It's
So
true.
yeah, if you don't have anything to do on the weekend, shoot, train, smoke meats.
Yeah.
Smoke meats, not meth. That's another good shirt. Have you seen that one?
Let's make one and give it to Kelly.
He doesn't have a smoker though. Maybe if he buys a smoker, we'll do it as a present.
Yes.
There you go.
We'll all pitch in and get him a smoker.
Yeah. All right, guys. Like, subscribe, follow, share. We appreciate you guys. See you
Smoke
next
meat,
time.
not meth.